We are live.
We're live.
We're live. And I'm going to move into a better position for the microphone.
Sounds like a good idea.
You're going to do the introduction live?
No, I
No?
don't do that.
You're not going to do the introduction?
I'm going to leave it to you, Amy.
You're going to leave it to me. And there we go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting sick of hearing my own voice, man.
You're getting sick of it now. Wait until a few years, and you got people playing it in the street, and you'd be like, "Oh, cringe." Right, for all you music fans out there, I'm a bit of a music fan myself. Yeah, that's right, music fan. We've got some amazing news here. Y'all aware of Tom Jones, the soul singer from Wales? Now, he's bobbing on now, but he is selling tickets for 2043. By this point, he will be 103 years old. This motherfucker wants to go live touring at 103 years old. Personally, I think that's awesome. That's legendary.
Now, when I read this, I saw it more as a brilliant marketing escapade, because this man is like in his 70s and he's selling tickets for, what is it, 30 years down the road?
40 years, yeah.
What
Just
year?
under 40 years.
2063.
2043.
2043.
2043.
That's 29 years.
That is.
That's still incredible, though. If you're in your 70s and you're getting business investments 30 years ahead, you're nothing but a charlatan.
You are the biggest pimp the game has seen.
Kudos, that's impressive. But come on, man. Me and you both know you're not going to be there, right?
If you do, you're going to turn up like Rod Stewart from South Park. You're going to look like a withered worm just rolled on in a chair going, oh!
I don't know what to say, man.
It's not a pretty sight, but
That's all I've got
personally,
to say.
I've liked him since being a kid. He's brought out some singles, and I know that 103, he ain't gonna hit any of them fucking notes. But I am still interested to buy tickets and go and see him, even though I know he'll probably be dead by then, and he'll just be conning me out of 40 quid.
But I'm surprised Tom Jones hasn't had a knock at the door yet with all this Operation U-Tree stuff. Tell me he hasn't been touching kids.
I think he's probably trying to keep himself busy so he doesn't fall into the same category as every other fucking global superstar.
But no, mate, these crimes are historic. It's almost like if you were in media and entertainment in the 70s, you got paid in children.
That's a point.
It's so
I think it's more of a power thing. It's not necessarily the time. It's just like, oh, nobody was looking. You could throw kids at any celebrity. I think it was more along the lines of, if you've been in the game since, say, your 20s, for example, at the minute we're looking into Cliff Richard, right? Guilty. I remember looking at him when he was like, when I was really young, I was looking at him and he was smiling on a calendar, and I was thinking, there's something not quite right about that guy. Why does he look like he's seen the devil multiple times? That smile is so transparent. And then all this paedophilic stuff is coming out with all these other celebrities. And I'm thinking it's only a matter of time before this guy starts getting investigated on. And I believe he is now being looked into. I think it's a power thing. He's been in the game from his 20s. After a bit, there's only so much
pussy
money. There's only so much you can buy with money, essentially. And then after a bit, you've done everything.
You're stealing souls.
Yeah, after a bit, the normal things, well, no, the amazing things that normal people would hope to do don't interest you anymore. So you're up for going around as raping and pillaging, taking souls and touching children, because that thing gives you a buzz now, compared to all the stuff that no longer does.
Well, I think it's obviously there's a lot of power in it, because they say that most rape isn't about sex, it's about the power. And
Well, yeah, because it can keep it quiet.
no, it's more
Hush
because
up, little child.
it's more because I'm all meant rape between adults is more about the power, because it's kind of forced submission. But with respect to like pedophilia, I don't think that it happens to everybody, because a lot of people blow out on drugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems almost as if some people back then would have just gotten into that kind of work because it was renowned for
Getting
young
away with
groupies
it.
and being too infamous to prosecute. But it's not as if this is something that only happened in the 1970s. This has happened within the Catholic and the Jewish churches for millennia.
So, like I say, it's a power thing.
And it happened in ancient Greece. I actually think it's, it is about the power. I'm not arguing that it's not, mate. But I think it's more inherent in our society than we would like to address. I think that it needs to be looked at. And whilst I'm not saying that it's not a horrible and abhorrent thing, but I'm saying that for a true empirical look at it, you need to take a step back from that and think, if it's been happening since time immemorial, what is the driving factor in prominent males that causes that? Or is it actually that it's not alpha inclined males, it's beta inclined males, and then we need to address what it is that causes it in that, and what it is psychologically that's driving people to have that, as opposed to just locking them away and throwing away the key.
Cut this fucker's head open, look inside and see where it starts to go wrong.
But you can't do that, man. You can't look at a brain and see past experiences. You can only get a rough glimpse of how certain things deviate from the norm. So you can see that they've got an enhanced thing that means that they want more violence, so that they need more stimulation to be happy, right? And that's what normally causes drug addiction. But you can't, just looking at a raw brain, take away psychology. Only like neurology, really.
I think the correlation is that some people fly too close to the sun and then they want to get burned a bit more because the sun don't burn them no more, essentially.
I don't understand, as in it's like a high they long for.
No, it's more like, imagine you live in your life and it's increasingly getting darker, and then they want to see again, but they can't see because it's getting darker and darker. These rapes and paedophilia cases, I would say this is their way of looking at the light again.
I don't get it.
They don't like life. They want to like life, so they do taboo.
Okay. But no, because the thing is, everyone has sexual fantasies. Everyone has their thing. Yeah? And it's almost as if in rapists and pedophiles, their thing is malformed. So what causes that? What are the factors in childhood and early adolescence that lead someone to be more inclined to be a paedophile? Because it's clearly, I assume, it is a spectrum of people that want to do it, people that are willing to do it, and people that are violent at doing it. Because I remember a case of, there was one guy who, his thing was stabbing little girls, and he could only reach orgasm as he is stabbing a little girl, right? That person is a monster and should be destroyed as a person.
Definitely.
Absolutely, that is what I'm saying. But we benefit as a society
If we find out what that breaking point is that makes them
yes,
go that way.
if we know what caused that,
Okay,
because then we can stop it in the future.
Personal opinion is some of it is from when they were children themselves. Like, for example, the rat in the cage theory, which if you are molested as a child, you are most likely to go and molest children
the cycle
as an
of
adult.
abuse.
Yeah, the cycle of abuse. And the other half of it, I think, is power, the ability to get away with it and having freedom to do what you want.
But no, that's what
I'm not
causes
saying
people
that
to
is-
perpetrate the act. What causes people to want
think it in
to
the
do
first
it?
place.
Yeah. What causes, like, so my thing is redheads with green eyes. Yeah. And
You want to know how it gets from the point of view liking redhead with green eyes to stabbing little girls.
yeah, I want to know. So I kind of understand where redheads come from. And green eyes is just because I'm very visual and that's a colour that has always stood out to me. But what some people, I've got a friend who she's a sub, yeah, she likes to be tied up and have her nipples grated, and all pleasure to her. That's what makes her wet, right? So what is it that makes a grown man have his thing be little girls or stabbing little girls?
Cut that fucker's head open, look inside, see where it went wrong, and be like, look, there's a bit of black growing here. That's not right.
But it doesn't happen like that.
No,
You
I
have
don't.
to-
I know, but still, just cut the fucker's head open, innit?
No, because you have to find out what causes it.
We don't have to find out because it's a very dark place, and I imagine you'd have to seen a few dark places to understand it yourself. I'm saying, yes, it will be beneficial as society, but it won't fucking prevent anything.
But with that knowledge there of what causes it to happen, right?
The only way you'll know is ask a paedophile or
Yeah.
a rapist and just go, what was it that made you first go, I'm gonna rape that?
Well, what you do is, like that guy who was stabbing little girls, he was executed. For the time up until that, he was in solitary. Now, why wasn't he under constant psychological assessment? Why weren't people asking him about his childhood, about his mum, finding out everything about this guy's past, right? And keeping that, filing it clinically, and having that then built upon, and then we go back through it
as a case study.
Yeah, and that he is one case study, and then we'll have loads of case studies in the future, and then we'll find what are like the commonalities and what are anomalies, and then we can have like theories on what causes this, and then when we've got theories on what causes it, we can take steps to prevent that happening to children and adolescents in the future, so they don't grow up to be monsters.
I love how we've branched from Tom Jones in 2043 to the child psychology.
It's not child psychology.
Well, no, it's not. But yeah, you see my point. We've fucking stemmed from that.
That's why it's called total digression.
That's why it's called total digression, my friends, because it starts off as one thing and fucks off to somewhere else.